So get this, I binge watch a bunch of cartoons for 2 weeks. I'm talking Bee and Puppycat, Steven Universe, Infinity Train, The Owl House, stuff like that. I was blown away by every cartoon I watched, with Infinity Train's masterful storytelling and Steven Universe's mature handling at discussing depression and anxiety. Western cartoons seem to be changing for the better, with animations geared towards tweens implementing ongoing stories of Emmy Award-winning quality. But after thinking about that, I suddenly got mad. Like, really mad. So mad to the point where I wrote a 9-page script about how adult cartoons need to be fixed. Why? Because I'm 22 years old, and yet the cartoons that are geared towards adults are all the same. Why does it have to be a Simpsons-style dysfunctional family comedy? Why do all the jokes have to be shocking and offensive with tons of pop culture references? And I like pop culture references, but it's always being told in the same way, and it's just annoying at this point. It's like adult animation has been stuck in a rut for decades. I just didn't understand why a show meant for children could have a mature, ongoing story while adults get sex jokes and gore. As I wrote my script for a solid 2 weeks, losing sleep and rewriting it to perfection, I realized I missed something. My point was lost as I continued to list adult cartoons that either brought something new to the table or are heading in the right direction. So basically, while I wallowed in my angst, I missed the change happening right before my eyes. So that script? Trashed it. 2 weeks of stress out the window. I decided to take that time to not only recognize the adult cartoons that I thought were doing something different, but pay attention to all the new content we've been given this year alone. So with this super long intro, what am I trying to say? Guys, I think we made it to the new era of adult cartoons. It's happening slowly. Even with all the new adult animations, most of them are still episodic comedies. While I really hope we start getting more mature serialized adult cartoons, I guess we should at least perfect the genre it's most popular in. Remember when I said that all adult cartoon comedies are about dysfunctional families? Well, guess what? They still are, but with a twist. I can't even call these series Simpsons ripoffs because that's just how much they stand out. Introducing Solar Opposites and Close Enough. Solar Opposites was created by Justin Roiland, the creator of Rick and Morty, which we'll touch more on later, and it's about aliens living on Earth. While Close Enough, created by J.G. Quintel, aka the creator of Regular Show, is about new parents in their 20s. These may sound like simple premises, and they are, but their execution will make you tell them apart from something like Family Guy. Let's start with Solar Opposites. Instead of your typical dysfunctional family dynamic, the cast is made up of 2 male adult figures and their smaller replicants. That's right, the hot, dumb, and sometimes badass nagging wife? Gone. Justin Roiland's knack for cleverly written sci-fi and film history jokes can't be found here either. Instead, Justin goes all out with the pop culture references in the best way possible, to the point where it gets meta. It may sound cringe to you, but I think Solar Opposites does it right. There's also an overarching story that's super predictable, but somehow works so well. I don't want to spoil it, but it was a mix of a Ghibli and Steven Spielberg film. And every time we got back to that storyline, I couldn't pause the episode. And finally, the aliens all suck. Even the nicer ones are pieces of garbage. These guys crash landed on Earth and are absolutely destroying everything. No matter what it was their fault, and they'll just have a blast torturing and killing people on the spot. That sounds really messed up saying that out loud, but I like violent humor. Close Enough is a lot simpler. Think Regular Show, but more grounded, because it's set in reality. Yeah, no going into space, but they may screw around with a couple of clowns, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm shocked we haven't had a main cast of young parents. I have friends who are 25 and already have children. It's a very normal thing today. This gives the dysfunctional family shtick a new perspective. The parents still like to casually get high and go to parties, but also have a child to raise, and their major full-time jobs. You also get the perspective of their friends who are young and divorced, which is another thing a good amount of people can relate to. My Uncle Benny. Nothing. There's no ongoing story with either of these two, but they're good at what they're trying to achieve. Actually, let's talk about an ongoing story, because believe it or not, one exists. Harley Quinn is without a doubt my favorite adult cartoon. It's another comedy, I know, but my god is it refreshing. You do have series like BoJack Horseman that have an overarching plot, but that means there are a fair amount of episodes you can skip. Harley Quinn isn't like that. There's always something going on. It's action-packed and funny with great animation. This is the type of action comedy that relies on delivery. The jokes make you laugh thanks to the voice actors. They know exactly what words to emphasize on and what sentences to really push a particular emotion. The entire cast is great. Even a character who I thought was going to be annoying as all hell gave me some laughs. After the first 2 episodes, you'll know whether or not it's for you. But hopefully, this clip does the job.
You know, the biggest pain in the ass was just finding 150 gallons of this shit.
I told you to get a Costco card.
And I told you I only go there once a year, so it doesn't pay for itself, Chief.
I briefly mentioned BoJack Horseman, but unfortunately I can't say much about it. I just couldn't get into it. I've tried multiple times, so I just don't think it's for me. But I have heard that this series can make you cry, which is a first for adult animation. And while I can't really speak on BoJack in that aspect, I can bring up the Midnight Gospel. You guys thought I was gonna talk about Toucan Birdie, didn't you? Well, hold your man boobs, we'll get there. Midnight Gospel is an animation of the podcast Family Hour. They literally took the episode's audio and used it for the cartoon. The podcast talks about all sorts of philosophical things, such as the meaning of life and death, marijuana use, and religion, to name a few. The actual podcast is just a bunch of interviews, but the show takes those interviews and puts them in a surreal sci-fi adventure, and it's kind of genius. Some people believe the show to be preachy, but I think they're missing the point. Through the main character, Clancy, you can tell that this is not some sort of SJW agenda, but peeking into someone else's views. Clancy never judges people. In fact, he tries to get them to open up more about themselves, and that's really cool. Like, there was this one episode where the interviewee says that he's a magic man. I call bullshit because I don't believe in magic, but I didn't hate the episode. I opened my ears and really listened to the guy to see where he's coming from, just like Clancy. And even with this magic man's views, I didn't see him as crazy. Just a guy living his life, but with a different outlook. Toucan Birdie is more of what adult animation needs. I found the series overall to be meh, but it's certainly heading in the right direction. Much like its predecessors, Toucan Birdie is a comedy episodic series with the adult humor including sex jokes, drugs, and some things that are just gross. It can get pretty strange, mostly anything involving Tuca, which is why I found the show to be kind of annoying. But whenever the show focused on Birdie, it really shined. Birdie's sexual harassment in the workplace and past trauma really stuck the landing. In there was a mature story waiting to be fleshed out. Now, I'm not saying the show needs to switch gears and always discuss the sexual harassment, as that would be a pretty hard series to watch. What I'm saying is that Toucan Birdie was able to weave in a bigger plot line that was mature for adults. It has a long way to go for it to succeed in my opinion, since Tuca overshadows most of the episodes, so it'll go on from, oh, this is for adults, to, yeah, 12-year-old wrote this, real quick. This could all be improved in the recently announced Season 2 picked up by Adult Swim, so we'll have to see. Of course, we can't have a discussion about the recent adult cartoons without talking about Rick and Morty. Without a doubt, Rick and Morty is the most popular, and the fan base grew out of nowhere right before Season 3 aired. I remember watching the first 2 seasons, but then the fan base got weird, so I dipped. After 3 years, for the purpose of this video, I decided to get back into Rick and Morty to see if it still holds up. Surprisingly, it does. If you ignore the overused fanbase memes, you'll notice a cleverly written sci-fi comedy. Some of the jokes are in your face, but a lot might have gone over your head. There's a lot of film jokes that I was able to catch since I'm a film student. And there's science-related quips that pass me by, but my biochemist friend catches every time. It also heavily involves the multiverse and time travel, which is just fascinating to me as a mega Doctor Who fan. But it's also pretty blunt and gives zero fucks, and I adore that. So if you've taken a break from Rick and Morty like I did, maybe give it another chance. Just don't mention it to your 15-year-old brother, or else you'll be hearing Pickle Rick memes nonstop.
Hey Blake, I caught up to Rick and Morty.
I'm Pickle Rick!
Okay.
Wubba lubba dub dub!
Oh god.
I do want to give a quick nod to those TV 14 rated cartoons like Bob's Burgers, Disenchantment, and Central Park. While they're not exactly adult cartoons, they do have this nice middle ground for the entire family to enjoy. And I grew up with strict parents, so having something like Bob's Burgers was a nice change of pace instead of acting like I'm rewatching Gravity Falls for the umpteenth time. We're still getting announcements for new adult series with a Clone High reboot and various sequels. It's really great to see the directors from my favorite childhood cartoons come back for a new kind of adult animation, especially since they come from the generation of transforming cartoons in the first place. Imagine if Rebecca Sugar or Alex Hirsch decide to make a cartoon for adults. That would be groundbreaking. But we're getting off topic, so let's end it here. Do you have any problems with adult animation? Are you looking forward to the future? And what are some of your favorite adult cartoons? I want to give a very special shout out to Giovanni Herrera for donating to my Patreon. If you'd like a very special shout out in the next video, stream, or what have you, then please click on the Patreon link in the description to donate, as well as links to my social media. I'm your female otaku. Sayonara.